Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AMA. Oh, and Neil's cat. The true star of this particular AMA, as we actually talk about BRP Creatures, which honestly, that timing could not have been better. If that cat doesn't have an entry in the book, I'm filing a complaint with management. Tribe, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Bridgett. I am your community coordinator over here at Chaosium, and welcome back to the next series of our AMAs. This time we are talking about the recently released BRP Creatures. First, massive thank you to marketing, Brian Holland and Mob. I love you so much. Thank you for allowing me to continue to do these, to celebrate our creators, and to connect with the community in fun and meaningful ways where they can actually ask questions directly to the contributors and the creators and kind of get some feedback, some perspective on how a book like this is designed, what you can expect, and ways that you can actually use it. So I have Neil and Jason of Chaosium on the call right now. And again, I'm super excited to hop into this because I personally have some questions about BRP creatures too, especially when it comes to like a community content start. So let us jump in immediately with Neil. Neil, please tell us who you are and what you do with the company, and I kind of want to do what your contribution was to this book now, but I almost want to save it
Okay.
for later. Nah, let's do it now.
Okay. Well, I wear lots and lots of hats at Chaosium.
Yes, you do.
I am the CEO. I provide a lot of other technical stuff like that. But for what we're talking about today, I have
Mhm.
two roles. The first one, I'm the producer for the BRP line. That includes basic role playing and Age of Vikings. And really, I'm the person who cracks the whip to make sure the rest of the team gets all things done and helps, I guess, streamline things for everybody else. BRP Creatures is a special one for me because this book is probably the first book since Chaosium, my time at Chaosium, where I am one of the primary authors.
Let's go. And then Neil, just because we're hearing you tee that out, how long have you been with Chaosium?
Well, I want to say a little over 10 years now
Okay, a little
in
over
terms
10
of
years.
that. Yep.
Okay, okay, amazing. Congratulations, guys. One, that
Thank you.
cover is absolutely stunning. Just it's just gorgeous to look at. And Jason, we are at it again, baby. Tell us who you are, what you do with the company, and then your major contribution to BRP Creatures.
I'm Jason Durall. I'm the, I guess, creative director for the basic role-playing line and Age of Vikings in particular. And for my role in this, I co-authored with Neil. I did the editing and external development, and I guess just helped with the art direction on it and all the other pieces that happen. I mean, this book was pretty much, Neil's baby in this case, and I was the one who helped him get it ready for prime time.
Yes. Okay. All right, guys, let us immediately lean in and let's talk about this new gorgeous book, how it works for you, how you can make it work for you. And then I am going to try to stay as present as we can when we get to the licensing section because half of that feels like it's just Latin directly over my head. But Neil does have an ability to make things palatable. So I think we're going to be able to get some good resources, some good perspective, and a hold on there. So let's start out the gate. What sources were used in the creation of BRP creatures?
Okay.
You?
Now go ahead, Jason, if you want. All right.
No, no, you.
All right. Well, we use a lot of, I guess, older out of print sources for some of it.
Okay.
We did start with the BRP core book, so the BRP, the core Universal Game Engine, has a number of creatures in it and things like that, and we basically took that and put that in as our starting point, so you don't have to buy that core book to be able to use this in your other game.
Okay.
Um, RuneQuest 3 was a another source of it, and actually it was a there's a different book. When RuneQuest 3 was published by Avalon Hill, Chaosium also published another book that had these creatures in it as well as in Magic World, and then also some older ones, even all the way down to the Bronze Grimoire. So some of these, and that's a subset of what we had out of it. And then after that, we added original content to flesh out what we needed areas, and all of the rules and all the character descriptions and that are generally already written.
Wow. Okay. I know it's not in the copy, but you already know Bridget's going to jump in. How long from start to finish do you think this book took us?
Oof.
Couple of years,
Okay.
but let's
Yeah.
talk about why it's a couple of years. It's a couple of
Ooh.
years because a lot of the work was done on aeroplanes as I flew back and forth. At the time, I was working in Spain for a different company as well as my primary role, and I would travel back and forth and work on basically getting this thing ready and getting it all. It's kind of part of the producer role is to get,
Mm.
especially older documentation, to get it ready. We also had to arrange all the licensing specifically with one person to be able to get the rights for all of the the content that we knew people were wanting to use in
Uh-huh.
BRP. And can you bring this back? And we're like, well, we can't bring that back if we didn't own it. And we generally own most of our content, but we didn't own this, so we started that conversation. It took longer than we would have liked, but we got it all working
So,
I was about to say it's here
in the
now.
end.
It's on shelves now,
It's there
baby.
now. Yeah, yeah.
It's here now.
I was at a gaming store actually yesterday, and I was there, and I have a photo that I took on my handy phone where they had the entire BRP line. I guess not the quick start because it's not a for sale item. Sorry, the quick start, the free RPG day on, but it had
Hmm.
all of our products. It was really cool. So I took a photo
hmm,
of BRP Creatures core book and the screen.
Oh my
nice.
God. Neil, that had to be such a beautiful moment for you. Congratulations.
Hmm,
Congratulations on the book.
Thank
And
you.
that just had to be just like, bam, it's there on the shelf. Also, I love that so much of this book was written or researched at 40,000 miles in the sky. That is that is spectacular. Okay. All right. These are some of my favorite types of questions because I think it's just great connective tissue between the fans, the content, and the creators. Jason, I'm going to start with you. What's your favorite creature in the book?
I really, I guess it would be kind of like asking a mother who their favorite child is, and you're not going to get a straight answer from me about that. But I
Yep.
would say that the batch I love are the sci-fi creatures. Those are the most fun and the most interesting because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I don't get to dig into that much, and as a result. When Neil and I were putting together the list of creatures and we said, okay, aliens. And I was like, well, we're going to have all the aliens. We're going to have the Nordics, the Greys, and the reptilians. And I had to educate Neil in, ufology. And so
UFology.
yeah, and I just really love that chapter. It's full of ideas and it makes me want to run a complete conspiracy-minded UFO sci-fi campaign of something.
Oh, ufology. Is that a real word or did we just make that up in real
Oh yeah,
time?
yeah, no, no, that's a real world. Let me send
Ufology.
you some sources.
You don't open that door. Don't open that
Don't,
door.
don't.
I have already. I'll put you on a mailing list.
Right. And then suddenly the information starts streamlining into my head in my house. Oh, I love it. Uh, Neil, we're not asking you to choose your favorite child. We're just asking you to choose your favorite child. What's your favorite creature in the book?
I actually do have one that I think is a as a pick is stunning. Um, and that's what Martina did on the giant centipede. It just glows. I guess I don't know how a way to describe it otherwise of bringing it out. I love how Martina brought so we broke the work we did each artist separately.
Okay.
So if we talk about this, she did the dinosaurs and megafauna, which what this giant centipede is in. She did the base creature, the natural animals, and she has an amazing talent for that. Lionel Marty did the fantasy creatures. He did the summoned creatures. He did the sci-fi creatures that Jason referenced. Luis Sanchez did our NPCs, and then the cover and all the chapter pieces that are done by Lionel. Oh, sorry, by
Oh
Louis
no,
Music.
yeah.
Louis. Yeah. So all those. So it is I'd say my favorite, but the vibe that like Lionel catches and things like that are super strong. I mean, as Jason said, you can feel the emotion, and this is someone who gets fantasy creatures and is drawing
Yeah.
them because they love this as a genre.
Yeah.
Ooh. Beautiful articulation and celebration there, Neil. That was strong. Oh, I love it. And also, let's just be super honest. Chaosium puts out some beautiful books. When it comes to art and direction and creative and style and just like putting your hands on the pages and flipping through it, like our art slaps on a whole new level. So congratulations to all the
Yeah.
artists who contributed to this too. Okay, so I think we're getting nearing into like, all right, let's get into the rough and gritty on what we can do with this book. And this is a great way to start. How do you use BRP creatures in your game? Or maybe even let's explore per system. Like just talk me through interfacing with this book in my gaming.
Okay. So I can start with that. Jason can correct me when I'm wrong. So
It's an
in
editor's
general,
job.
say Pendragon aside, all our systems are D100, the BRP system, right? We use the same characteristic models. Call of Cthulhu is a little different because they take those by and they do a multiply by five. Pendragon for the rolls and the skills is really a D20, but it's just Divide by 5. So in terms of that, so the creatures for things like RuneQuest or Age of Vikings, I mean, you can just go ahead and basically throw them right in there. The real difference is the like for RuneQuest, the strike ranks are different, and the hit points are calculated a little differently in terms of this. For Call of Cthulhu, you want to multiply the stats by 5,
5.
and for uh, those are probably the biggest ones. Pendragon, the modifications are they're relatively simple, but you just got to think about it. You're not going to put in the same number of fantasy creatures in that anyway, right? You do have to make sure it ties closely to the genre.
Yeah.
But the alien stuff Jason was talking about, oh my goodness, you could throw that into a Call of Cthulhu investigation game, right? You don't just have to be facing the mythos, you can be facing something else
Yeah.
in terms of that. So the idea is that it's you could tweak the creatures to fit, or you can skin them if you want. We had Don Ford do it. He's got an article for how to do it for Age of Vikings.
Nice.
Mark Morrison doing one for Call of Cthulhu and how to bring in some of the stuff into Call of Cthulhu. So, and we're going to have more of those and just try and help you basically use this book because it is a tool set for a GM or a game designer to basically to kind of run from there with it.
Can I jump in?
Please, baby, let's do this thing.
Okay, let me jump in at the end of that then. And then the unannounced partner in that lineup is of course just basic role playing itself. In that, this is designed to be a smorgasbord of creatures and monsters and NPCs for a BRP game. So if you're building your own game with BRP and creating your own setting and whatnot, then this is your monster manual, so to speak. This is where you want to
Mm.
drive all of your monsters from. It expands the stuff in the core book dramatically, and it is 100% compatible, no changing, no messing around with any. You don't have to move any numbers around or anything like that. So if you want to say do your magical Three Musketeers versus Aliens campaign,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah, it's right there. The resources there. Okay, perfect. And then viewers, I'm going to do my best by the time I upload this onto YouTube to include those articles that Neil mentioned from both Morrison and Ford. So I'll have the link. If you just like click down below in the description, I'll have those links and I'll try to keep any other relevant resources posted there. So if you're engaging with this content here, you can actually kind of follow the links and continue to educate yourselves or get additional resources. Okay. Jason, thank you so much for that as well. All right. Oh, we're gonna do a quick break and hop over to favorite illustrations in the book. I like this one. So we've done favorite creatures. What's your favorite illustration in the
Oh,
book?
I think it's the same question,
It's still
Simon.
the, it's still the
In the
centipede for
same
you.
there. Yeah, yeah. Well,
It
yeah, it
glows.
is. To me I guess I did more on what my illustration was when I did above. I didn't do what my favorite creature was from that perspective. The AI system for the favorite creature, sorry, is in sci-fi is really, really cool as well.
Yeah, that is effective. One of mine is actually the punk angel. I like the fact that I just said, give us a non-traditional angel, maybe something kind of punk. And I think it's sort of inspired by maybe the In Nomine RPG that Steve Jackson Games used to do. But I like the fact that it's like a punk rock female character with a sword, and there's this angel bursting out above her. That's like her inner nature. But I
Right, it's
thought
a
I want
punk
to be in
angel.
a yeah, I want to play in a campaign where she's an NPC.
Okay, Punk Angel is actually pretty dope. Now I need to go flip to that page and just admire that artwork. Okay, all right, rocking and rolling, rocking and rolling. This question came from a fan that I can't remember their name, but I remember when I saw this, I was like, I'm so glad they engaged. So, other than the obvious ones like dwarf and elf, are there any creatures that you think would make unexpectedly good choices for player characters?
I'll start with mine and then I would say that the lizard people are really interesting. They're
Mm,
certainly a I guess more worlds just kind of putting them in, but it's certainly an example to play a strong culturally diverse group that has
Mm,
a lot of arguably shamanic in our case traditions and
okay.
go from there. And then the insect people, I mean, you could do a book on insect people. There are so many
mm.
different size types of it, from giant rhinoceros to bee to whatever that are, and just have a world, a fantasy world that is only insect people, and that's it, and that's
Yeah.
all, and they interact, and they're all
Bug
different.
World. Bug
Bug
World.
World.
Let's
Bug
There
do
we
it.
World.
go. Oh, let's get the title down there.
Bug
Um,
World.
cool.
How about you, Jason?
I'd just like to add one bit to Neil's thing
Uh-huh.
is I mean back I'm of course, as you can see, very old, and one of my earliest gaming memories was reading the book Quag Keep, which was written by Andre Norton, and it was the first licensed RPG product. It was a novel set in the world of Greyhawk, and it was clear that Andre Norton didn't know anything about gaming, basically. But one of the characters, the player characters, was a lizard man. And I always felt that, like, for years, why can't I play a lizard man in any, in any D&D games? And
Yeah.
finally now, like most RPGs, they're not a common race. So I'm finally happy that we have placed one in there and entered it into
Yeah.
the
Yes.
the the gaming ecosphere.
Yeah.
My choices are I really like the Knolls, partly because I just love the character drawing that Lionel Marty did for the Knolls. The Dragonkin also look really cool,
Oh.
big and beefy and scary. And then of course I think I'm contractually obligated as a Chaosium stringer to say ducks. And we have the most adorable duck character that because he looks pretty tough with his little crest.
Yeah, no, no, listen, that duck is beefy, honey. That duck is here to tell some good stories.
Yeah.
Um, Jason, help me with my own just mythological ignorance right now because I just fell completely off of awareness. Gnolls are hyena based? Are
Yeah,
those the bipedal
they
hyenas?
yeah, they're big hyena men, sort of, or
Gotcha. Okay.
hyena people, I should
Hyena
say.
people.
And I think that initially, I mean, if you go way back, they were just sort of like bestial. They didn't really have a
Hmm.
particular type, but they've sort of over the years sort of been codified into being hyena or jackal people.
Or jackal people. Jackal actually might have been
Yeah,
what I was thinking about. Thank you.
yeah, but
Bridget's
they
just like Knowles. I haven't heard that term in so long. Knowles, what was it? Nope, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
This was a celebration question. Neil, you already kind of touched on this because you walked into this gaming store and you're seeing your entire line in front of you. Just tell us about the moment, tell us about the excitement or how you feel about cover on the book right now and this bad boy out in the universe.
Let's take the things are too different to me.
Okay.
I'm not a big, it's not a, I'm not big about the fame thing. So having my
Mhm.
name on it, it's nice. It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, that's not where I get my kicks on it.
Mhm.
And to be clear, I like to see the books out there. I'm super happy to have it done because it's been, years in the making just because of priorities and things like that.
Yeah.
And you'll start to see more coming out with BRP from that perspective. When I went to this game store, and I'm going to give a pitch to it, it's called Gabby's Olympic Comics and Games. They're an amazing store, an amazing part of the community. This weekend, they have, for example, they have an amazing thing for Christmas and stuff like this. And they have all our lines and they have all our books for all our lines. And you walk around it, it's done. Call of Cthulhu is on an end cap, which is really good at the end with a great big
Nice.
list of it. And then you go to the P's and there's Pendragon, the R's RuneQuest, and you've got it. Rivers of London's around there too. You've got basic role playing Age of Vikings, and it's just exciting to see it all going. And I built up a good relationship with that. So to me, that's where I get my excitement about it. And when I talk to the buyer, who's one of the guys I meet there every time I go, he's talking, yeah, BRP is doing really well, and we're super excited about that because this is a
Yeah.
project where we started it because of what the some things that happened with Mike with the Coast and their initial decision to lock down, and later they released some of their ability for community content and things like that. And just seeing BRP and seeing it go and be reordered and always there in stock to me is
Yeah.
exciting because I think it really shows that Chaosium is a company with lots of great lines.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very community forward focused and empowering too, because BRP is literally just for you. And there's this whole opportunity that BRP forwards to the community to create their own games, to create their own worlds, to tell their own stories, which I think is just really beautiful and empowering on multiple levels. All
Yeah.
right. Love it. Love. Oh, Jason, sorry, baby. I cut you
Oh,
off. Go ahead,
I would
gorgeous.
just say personally, I'm over the moon that almost 20, 22 years ago, Dustin Wright asked me if I would write the BRP core book after I'd pestered him about it at uh, Gen Con. I was tired of carrying around a giant stack of Chaosium core books, all the different games to all my sessions so I could run bits and pieces. And I said they should all be in one book, and he gave me the green light for that. And that's where the first edition of BRP was born. And it's kind of ridiculous to me that 20 some years later, I'm like still working on that line.
Yeah.
And it's like in an exciting new edition. It's getting some more love. It's really kind of weird and amazing.
Yeah. Did you say that was Dustin, our Dustin, right?
That was our very own Dustin Wright as seen on TV.
Literally the heartbeat of Chaosium right now.
Hmm.
Dustin has an
Very
entire
much so.
following of just Dustin is a light. I'm just gonna say that hard
Hmm.
stop, but I did not know that, Jason. I'm glad you shared
Yeah,
that because
yeah.
that's just another reason to
Mahalo,
celebrate
Dustin.
Dustin. Freaking Dustin is an absolute delight, and he is for sure a light at Chaosium. Okay, guys, this is one of those common questions that pops up every AMA, and it's valid every time I hear it, mostly just because I'm curious. What hit the cutting room floor? I'm gonna start there. What didn't make it?
Um, One thing, I don't know if it hit the cutting room floor, but it hit oh, darn it, I forgot to do that. Is I had always meant to write a section on converting any monster to an undead. Like
Oh,
basically being able to zombify any creature, like what you would have to do to create, zombie Tyrannosaurus,
mm-hmm.
zombie Terminator, zombie Xenomorph, zombie Knoll. And
Zombie, no.
it was just as a thing where I literally had a thing like undead BRP creatures. That's like a sticky note I had, and I found it a few months ago and went, "Oh, I didn't do that." And and so that will probably show up in like a blog post or something as an entry
Oh, a
at some
blog
point
post
because
that would be great.
I really want to write that.
Yeah. I learned a new word again from you today, Jason. Zombify, ufology, and
Yeah.
zombify. I listen. I am getting
These are
creatured
the
out this day.
these are the words of the day.
Right. Neil, how about
I
you? Do you remember anything that hit the
well,
cutting room floor?
yeah. We I do want to say that we had when I first started aggregating all the opera lists and then brainstorming what we could do and asking a lot of different people inside the company and then reviewing other ones. I came up with at least another 30 other creatures that we could choose to put in terms
Hmm.
of that. So that's, there's definitely there is a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have a plan for creatures two right now, but never
Mhm.
say never would
Yeah.
be that area. And you'll notice that we really don't put in many creatures from core RuneQuest that are, Glorantha specific or Mythos specific,
Yep.
because we didn't want to do that. If you want to play a Mythos game, that is Call of Cthulhu, right? This is to
Yep.
augment that. It's not to replace it.
Yep.
Oh, good articulation. This to augment, not replace. Good articulation. Okay. We were talking about or Neil, you were talking about specificity there, and this beautifully ties into our next question. Maybe a too specific one. Does the book cover demonic summoning and demon customization? And then thank you. I love that the viewer put thank you at the end of the question.
Okay, well, that's very kind.
That's very kind.
The book doesn't cover it directly, but the BRP core rules, page 88, if I recall off the top of
Oh.
my head, actually has a big sidebar called demonic summoning or demon summoning. And then there's a customize your demon with chaotic abilities chart in the core book, and then it's carried over into this book. And the demon write-ups, there's a lesser demon and a greater demon, and both of those are having a lot of variability so
Mm-hmm.
that you can sort of go, oh, this is how I could skew this way or the other way. So there is a lot of flexibility there in the way you might want to create and describe your demon. Now, if you're looking for something like a build a demon from scratch kind of a thing, sort of like appeared in early editions of Stormbringer, this is not that.
Okay.
But something might like something like that might show up at some point in the future.
Oh, okay. Okay. The specific questions are great because you can tell that that particular contributor has their eye on a certain prize.
Mhm.
And I just, whatever you're working on, I hope that that answer, that response gets you that much closer to kind of what you're working on right now. But it looks like a lot of what you need might be on page 88. Okay, perfect. Next question. Are sanity rules included for creatures that could reasonably cause sanity loss, especially for fantasy and science fiction settings?
So just to be clear, when you talk about sanity, there's two sanity systems that we have. The Call of Cthulhu has its own sanity system, and there's a lightweight version that is in as an optional rule in the core BRP book.
Okay.
Um, we didn't include it in there. We decided that in general it wasn't as much needed, but it's certainly easy enough to give any rating you want. You know, if you meet
Yeah,
a demon, oh my gosh, well, demons are in the core base book, but
yeah.
if you meet something that is not in there, you know, a D4 loss or a D1 or a
Yep.
D4, whatever you want to do on it. We don't really have elder gods and things like that in this book anyway, so you don't have to worry about ones that basically warp the mind in a single visit. We do have a warp
I
demon though.
Yeah, and actually
Ooh.
a few particularly horrific creatures do actually say, if you're using the sanity rules from BRP, this is the kind of creature that would cause a sanity loss. We did actually call it out a couple of times.
Okay. Okay.
But we
Okay.
don't we don't
Okay.
have a
And
table for every creature in the book
yeah,
because most of them, you know, a fantasy creature we really wouldn't, you'd almost never
yeah,
need it.
Yeah.
right.
But it sounds like you have the scaffolding where if you need to overlay it somewhere, you kind of can, or you can integrate it the way you need to.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should from the core book have all of the resources to be able to guess at what a traditional sanity loss might be for a creature. But since it's a multi-genre book, it didn't make a lot of sense to be like, if you're in a fantasy world, you're not going to lose sanity from seeing a centaur.
Right.
But if you're, say, a person in, downtown New York in the modern era and you see a horseman run by, you might lose some sanity.
Right. You might have a moment of questioning everything. You
Like,
see,
what's
you should
even
have read up your
happening here?
ufology.
Hmm.
Jason, you're so supportive of my nonsense. I can always count on you to swing through to
I could
support me.
say the same. I could say the same for you.
I love us. You just JC, you're a happy place for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are folding into a new category, which looks like this is a one and done, and this is going to be community content use. So the question that came in was like, "Hey Bridget, hi fan, why should community content creators working on Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, and/or Pendragon Adventures pick up this new book?" And what I did was didn't answer this question, and I had my colleague Nick Brook answer it because Nick is better at all things in life when it comes to me or this all the time. So I'm just literally going to read at least one paragraph of what he said, but also look into the description below. There's a whole blog post that I think either Mob or Mark did that's going to help you with your compatibility from our community content programs when you're interfacing with this particular book. So, per Nick, many of Chaosium's games share a common heritage. Neil already touched based on this in the basic role playing system. So, with the release of BRP Creatures, we are making all of the creature descriptions and stat blocks in that book available to be used by creators in our community content program. So if you're writing a scenario or a source book and publishing it via the Miskatonic Repository, that's Call of Cthulhu, Johnstown Compendium, that's RuneQuest, or Companions of Author Pendragon, or any of our other community content programs, feel free to adapt these creature stats found in the BRP Creatures to your game system of choice. You will actually find guidelines on how to do it on page 152 and 153 of BRP Creatures, and in the conversion notes and in the conversion notes appendix to BRP UGE. Now, just for licensing clarity, Neil, do you have anything high level visibility or perspective to add on to what we just said?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, we want you to use it for this. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
one benefit of being in the community content program is the fact that you can use it and you can reference these arguably anyway. You can use these. It makes sense to do that in terms of it. And we probably want to move directly, I guess, into licensing. Is
I
the
think so.
BRP Creatures is not under what they call the ORC license. What that means is, and the ORC license is the core book is. And we did that specifically because we have licensees who want to make their own versions of it. They want to translate this into other languages. And so we want to give them that opportunity and to support them going and basically getting that product done. So you can, if you're in one of our community content programs, you're probably
Mm-hmm.
more in a special case because we want you to use these and promote these in terms of this. But if you're
Yep.
going to design your own game, you can't just use these creatures. Now, if you want to license BRP, that's certainly a possibility, and you can talk to us about that.
Okay.
But it is not like, hey, I can just go in, copy the text for what the null is, and put that in the system and have a null. because
Okay.
that is something that you cannot do without permission from us. So that.
Clarity is
Um,
equity. Good. Okay.
I do want to talk about another thing, which is an older licensing one we have, which is called the SRD, which was come out, and that was basically before the ORC license. And if you produced a product under that one, you can still, that's fine. We're not releasing this under that system reference document model.
Okay.
We're doing that. This is a Chaosium product. It's Chaosium content. It's the same as Call of Cthulhu from that perspective.
Got it. Okay. 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 So individuals would need to reach out to us for that permission if they're going that direction. But community content, you're already in-house, you're kind of snuggled up.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and arguably already, right? If you talk about how when you write a book, when you put a creature in the Miskatonic repository, and you're saying here's a Shoggoth, right? You generally reference the Shoggoth on the call, say use the Call of
Yep.
Cthulhu core book page, blah 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 blah,
Yep.
because that's what they want you to do as well. So it's the same model, right? Use BRP creatures. This you could have the notes of how to tweak it in your book. That's fine to me.
Okay. Okay. Neil, I'm going to stay with you and kind of ride this button. So, one of the questions is in what capacity can this book be used by third parties? You've already articulated that they
Yep.
are welcome to ask us for a license. What, how does one do that? Is that an email to licensing at
Email
Chaosium?
to
Is it a, okay.
You've got it.
Oh, look
Email
at me.
licensing at chaosium.com
They
and
grow up so fast.
someone will get back to you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's shooting that request over to you guys directly. Okay. Um
Yeah,
Neil,
let's
you're kind of in this role. I kind of just want to stay with you versus me asking you these questions that's like
yeah,
dissecting your
let
vibe.
me kind
Just
of kind
go.
of go through these because some of this I think there's a mention about the orc license versus BRP, and it is a bit
Uh-huh.
confusing for people not doing it. Well, bend over here, go over here and lean. This game engine, the text is under the orc license. I actually created a RTF rich text format version, which is text only, that people can use. But the actual book itself is copyright Chaosium. You cannot use our art, right? You can't use our layout. You can't use all that unless you license BRP. And obviously that will be a language specific license if you want to use that. So
Okay.
the same, so this book is kind of special. It's an engine we want people to use from a rule system. But BRP creatures, I mean, if you look at it and you said that you wanted to do an insect bug creature
Mm-hmm.
book adventure, you could make your own called Bridgett's Bug World. And
Hey.
you could do that. And you could put that out using the basic rules of this as long as you don't use creatures, things from here
Okay.
and done that. Now we could, of course, but that's kind of the piece of it. So we want to support the ecosystem as much
Mm-hmm.
as we can,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got to be strict about, this is our business and this is
Yeah.
how, all three of us sitting here, get paid is
Yeah.
by making sure people buy these books.
Yeah.
So we want to make them, we want it useful for people, but not to do that. Now, obviously, as a someone who's in your game, do whatever you want. We want you to use these books. That's what it's
Right.
for. And you can talk to us about it. I mean, we're very open for discussion.
Oh, beautiful. I was anticipating overwhelm in this section, Neil, but again, per freaking usual, you can make stuff really palatable where you're able to kind of
Mm.
onboard what's going on. Because when it comes to legal and licensing, I'm just deer in the head. I'm like, yep, let me go ask
Yeah,
mom.
it's extremely complicated in specific areas, especially around the orc license, which you think is great for the industry, but
Yeah.
it does make it complicated for development companies.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
so many of us are creatives and just want to tell amazing stories. And when we hit that roadblock, that's usually a hurdle that can discourage a lot of us from like, I don't want to get sued. I don't know how this works. So thank you for making that at least palatable. And then viewers, you do have a point of reference theme where you can like send those questions, those inquiries, and kind of rock out from there. Okay, on I think the periphery, and let me just, before I start asking specific questions, Neil, is there anything else that you want to talk about on that topic from a high visibility level?
Not on that topic
Okay.
specifically. No, it looks like there's a couple of questions at the end which were not related to licensing that accidentally got stuck in there. So
Yeah.
we could go to those if you want.
So we can jump on it. Okay, so I'm
Yep.
just going to clarify because a fan asked it. Will the BRP rulebook be added to Fantasy Grounds? Will it be going to
Oh, the
Fantasy
virtual
Grounds for free?
tabletop questions.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about virtual tabletops in general
Okay.
the same way. There's no reason why not to.
Okay.
We have different relationships with different partners for virtual tabletops. Roll20, Fantasy Grounds,
Uh-huh.
Quest Portal, the Foundry, and all of these things. In some cases, we have fans develop a bit. In some of them, we have the actual partner does all the development. In some of the things, we do the development, right? And then try to sell to get those. So for that perspective, for Fantasy Grounds, they do the development. They have developers who do it and create that. So we hope they would do that. So there's no reason why not, and we're happy to support them doing that, but we're not involved in that development, but we do provide the content. But if we go for other things, we can look at Foundry. The answer with Foundry is, yeah, there is a plan to put this in. We already have the core BRP system
Yeah.
because that's under the Orc license for that. With there, we can do our own for sale with our art and everything and show the tokens and things like that. BRP Creatures, we have I have a pitch from someone to put that in there. So that's our hope that
Oh.
that will be in there. Quest Portal has the core book already there, and they're probably going to put in the creatures book as well. But they do that themselves. And then resource wise, we have to decide if we're going to put that into Roll20. Roll20 is a bit more complicated because
Oh.
the strength of BRP is the flexibility. You got lots of different options. But if you're looking at a character sheet, you've got to say, do I turn on this option or that option or whatever? You got a whole box of things that you turn on or hide if I'm playing a simple version of it, I don't want hit locations, I don't want sanity. So you want to
Right.
hide all those sections. I don't want education. And you go hide all those. And as a pro, we don't, we're not a software development company.
Right.
We're a role-playing design company.
Right. Oh, another good articulation. Also, I don't know why when you were talking about the overlay, I just immediately thought about Jason talking about zombification. And I'm just like, yeah, now we need to be able to hit the zombify button and make it
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
be so dope.
Someone could definitely write that if they wanted. Yeah.
Like, can you imagine just playing a game and suddenly that button clicks? And you're like, what just happened to my character sheet? What just happened to me? Jason, we need to find a way, babe. Come on, you need to get that
All
blog
right.
post out. You and me,
I'll
baby,
work
we
on
got
it.
this. Okay, scrolling just back up because Bridget got hyper and blazed right by this. A couple other fan questions here. Does the creature book include any way to gauge the difficulty or the lethality of an encounter? Kind of like a challenge rating.
Um,
I'll give it.
I'll jump on that. No, it
Okay.
actually doesn't. That's pretty common to all the BRP games. There's game master sort of I guess rule of thumb, but it's just one of those things when you've got a flat distribution system like a D100 roll to determine what happens.
Yep.
You're just as likely to get a fumble as you are critical, and so you can create a monster that is like a super powerful creature, and you can have a character take it out in one hit. If they roll a critical and the creature doesn't
Mm.
like defend or dodge or anything like that. And it's happened. I'm sure every BRP based RPG player has a story about the time their character took out a seemingly impossible monster in one hit. And
Yep.
so, like the
Or was
idea,
taken out.
Or was taken
or
out. That
a
pendulum swings,
seemingly
honey.
invincible character was defeated.
Yeah.
There are some guidelines about what makes tough encounters and what
Hmm.
doesn't. Things like, how many armor points does the creature have? Does it
Yeah.
regenerate? Does it have multiple attacks per round? These are kind of an indicator, but ultimately, like a group of RuneQuest adventurers facing, like, say, a xenomorph, are going to have a much easier time of it than a group of, uh, say, Rivers of
Cthulhu
Legend
investigators.
or Cthulhu
Mm.
investigators or Age of Vikings heroes. So it all depends on the game that you're putting it into. And so as such, like trying to give some sort of a challenge rating would kind of be meaningless,
Jason,
like for what genre?
good good
Yeah.
articulation there. Yeah, that makes total sense. Because that question made sense to me up until you just articulated. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
mean
makes sense.
it's like one of those things where I think I talked about in the earliest edition of BRP where people talk about party balance. And I said, well, if you've got a group of all private investigator characters and one person is a socialite, you're going to have a very different balance in power,
Yeah.
a different power dynamic there. And it BRP is one of those games that game balance has to be really finessed by the game master.
Age of
Ooh.
Vikings is a good example because Age of
Yeah,
Vikings is very similar to RuneQuest in terms of how the system works. However, the characters really don't have much armor and they don't really have that supporting magic at the same level.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
can't just
if
throw
you
on,
if you
you
throw a
know,
RuneQuest creature or you have someone who's used to designing RuneQuest, say, okay, run this scenario and get it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this would just wipe those key characters out.
yeah,
And if you played, another game system that has more of a giant pool of hit points, a D&D
mhm,
or a Pathfinder type game,
Yeah.
there, you're really taking damage a different way, and you really have to think about that if you're moving from that system to BRP.
yeah,
So that is probably
Wow.
that is a bigger step.
yeah.
Wow. Talk about a philosophical approach to game design when you're dealing with something like this.
Mm.
Wow. Because those guardrails that we're used to leaning on, or those corners that we feel
Yeah.
safe in, it's like, no, we have to actually reduce all of that down. And whoa, wow. Gentlemen, I'm gonna say this again. Congratulations on getting this out
Thank you.
across the
I'm pretty
board.
excited.
Wow.
Thank
Woof.
you.
Okay.
Just a day's work.
At 40,000
Yeah.
miles in the skies.
40,000 feet. Yeah.
However feet, yeah. So good. Okay, would it be possible to customize and create new heritages for player characters
Oh,
from previous options?
every section on heritage or lineage or species discusses how to make more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like it's literally everyone says, oh, if you didn't find the one you like here, here's the basics, the framework for like take two skills and add this. Add one characteristic gets a bonus, another minus. It's all described in every, I think pretty much every entry for that.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. So great support on that one. Awesome. Neil, Jason, I'm going through our shared document right now. And unless I'm wrong, did we bang out everything? Are we actually at closing remarks on BRP Creatures right now? Is there anything else that we want to throw in for perspective, guidance, coaching, action items, anything else as we kind of start closing this out?
Well, I don't think so. In terms of that, I think we've kind
Yeah.
of covered the bases of it. I mean, just think of this. This is a resource for you as a GM or a game designer
Mhm.
to, customize to make your, as a GM to customize to add flavor to your investigators. Maybe they don't want to expect, that they think the monster is going to be a cultist. It's going to be
Yeah.
a deep one. And my gosh, no, this is something from outer space or three skin, right? You look
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
they have we have basically a Bigfoot in there, right? That's something that
Yeah.
obviously you could have in a modern day one out here in the Pacific Northwest, right? They live up just further north with the sparkly vampires.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
sparkly.
I guess yeah, that's all part of it. So I think that this is something for GMs to use, regardless of the core system. I think every Call of Cthulhu GM would benefit from having this at their, when they start thinking about their campaign, especially when you want to tweak them a bit, right? You want
Yeah.
to you're making your own, or you just want to say, hey, I like this scenario, but I really
Mhm.
think that I could make the creature a little bit different, and maybe less horror or whatever. You can just go in and throw something like that into it. And as a game designer, it's a great starting point for you to think about how you're going to, design your games.
Yeah. Sounds like a great opportunity to surprise yourself and surprise your players, which is also or is always a delight in storytelling. Jason?
Mm. I don't have anything really to add in terms of the utility of the book. I think it's pretty self-explanatory,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like just once again to express my admiration for the work that the art team did. I mean, Martina's creatures are naturalistic and yet interesting. Her dinosaurs all look very, very cool. The natural creatures are like initially, I was thinking, oh, do we even have to have natural creature write-ups? Because it's like everybody knows what a wolf is.
Yeah.
But she knocked those out of the park. Lionel's fantasy, sci-fi, and summon creature images just pop off the page. They're so bright and colorful. And then you've got Louis Sanz's very realistic, very down-to-earth human characters, which are all sort of, I can just see them. They're very cinematic looking, almost as if they're like in they just came out of central casting. And
And we
and yeah,
Yes.
And that also, I gave him a lot of freedom with that. And so he mixed it up occasionally. He would give us, he would switch genders from what you would think would be the traditional gender. And I like the fact that he
Oh.
sort of mixed it up and created a lot of different ethnicity, or rather, portrayed different ethnicities
Hmm.
for character types. So he really kind of mixed it up. A lot of cultural things. I was like, oh, that's a very interesting character, like a way to approach that
And
character.
also different eras, right? I mean,
Yes.
we didn't really talk about it, but
Oh.
the NPC section at the back, just because you've got a bounty hunter, when is a bounty hunter? Is it a bounty hunter of the
Mhm.
Wild West? Is it a bubble, I'm going to say licensed thing here. Is it one from perhaps Boba Fett style bounty hunter? They're both bounty
Mm.
hunters. They're very
Yeah.
different, right?
Or
And
is
we
it a
give you
thief
examples
taker
of ones you
from
can do it. Same with merchants, right? Is it a modern merchant? Is it a merchant in the Wild West? Is it a merchant in, traveling between ancient cities? In your sandals and sorcery campaign, all of those
Yeah.
things could still use this. You're just going to change some of the weapons and the equipment and what they're going to sell, but you're not going to
Mm.
change their skill set, right? They're still going to use the same skills to
Right.
Yep.
negotiate. And
To track and to stealth and right. Oh
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
man. Guys, just massive congratulations. Talking about an entire book that is nothing but like inspiration and opportunity. Like, I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love it. All right, guys, we are closing this particular AMA out. Neil, thank you, thank you, thank you, and a massive congratulations. Jason, thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations, viewers. Thank you so much for engaging with our content. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for submitting questions. Thank you for your curiosity. If you are interested in BRP Creatures, this bad boy is available now. You can catch it at kafton.com. Or if you're like Neil, you might walk into your local game store and just see it out in display of all of this in glory. Allow this tool to empower you, to inspire you, and to tell amazing stories. Thank you so much for your time. Mob and Holland, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for another AMA. Guys, I am Bridget, your community coordinator. Watch our socials, watch the app Chaos, watch for the very next AMAs coming out. I've got one coming up soon with RJ. Somebody pronounce his last name for me. Is it
Ivankovic.
Ivankovic? Was that close? RJ
Ivankovic. RJ
Ivankovic.
Ivankovic. That's my understanding.
That's my understanding. Listen, I love it. I have that coming out soon where you can discuss or you can ask questions about the beginner reader's guide, which it's almost the holidays and Christmas. Like, get some Cthulhu underneath your Christmas tree because
Get
it'd be a
get
good
get
time.
him to recite it for you. That's what you need to do, right? Get him to read it.
Get him to read it. Get him to read it. So, guys, engage with us on our social medias, on our official Chaosium Discord, on our app Chaos. Get connected, and we'll continue to facilitate these conversations between your favorite content and the people that created it. So, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.